All right, welcome to this webinar on the three versions of yourself. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited for this. I love talking about this stuff, and I think anybody listening is hopefully going to be able to walk away with some actionable things and strategies and be able to connect with what we're going to go over in this webinar. So let me share my screen. All right, so the three versions of yourself we're meshing our adaptive self, our authentic self, and our shadow self. Now when we can mesh all of these together, that's how we're going to feel alignment. If your adaptive, authentic, and shadow self are all disconnected, we're going to feel out of alignment. I like to start with the story. I think a story puts into context what we're talking about here. The story goes like this. One night, dad comes home from work. He's tired, and all he wants to do is sit on the couch and read the newspaper. So we sit on the couch. His son comes up and starts nagging him, "Dad, let's play. Dad, let's play." And he kind of just like shrugs him off. Again, "Dad, let's play. Come on, Dad, let's play." And so now the dad's a little bit annoyed. All he wants to do is just sit there and relax. So he decides to seize this page in the newspaper that has a globe. And so he rips it out, rips it into a bunch of little pieces, and says, "All right, you want to play? Here, go put this globe, put the earth back together." So he gives him that. The kid goes off and does his thing. The dad thinks that's going to occupy him for a while. And no more than like 15 minutes go by. The son comes back, and the whole page is put back together. The dad's sitting there a little puzzled. He's like, "Yo, what the hell? How did you do this so fast, son?" And the son goes, "Dad, on the back was a person. And once I got the person together, the world was okay." Now I want to let that land for a little bit. Sit with that. And I think that's great because when we're okay, inside and our lives and we're okay, the world is okay. Our world is okay. And that's what we're going to step into today. You have three versions of yourself. You have your adaptive self, your authentic self, and then there's your shadow self. Why most men get stuck. So three versions of ourselves play a part and they impact on why we're stuck. So why do most men get stuck? Expectations that could have been put on by boss, people around you, friends, parents, or also the expectations that we naturally internally just put on ourselves. There's career pressure as men to be super successful in your career, to have this strong job and make money. So there's career pressure that men go through. There's fear and shame that we hold on to that we never address, and we kind of just stuff it down there, which keeps us stuck. There's this other part of performing to belong, to be either, a part of the group or a part of this social network, keeping up with the Joneses, right? We as men tend to try to perform a lot in front of each other. And then the one that I think is the best that we all fall into is their story, your own personal story. And the question in men's group we use all the time is the story I'm telling myself is what? All of us have some sort of story that we've sold to ourselves about ourselves. And so what is that story? And our thoughts become our beliefs, and our beliefs actually turn into our reality. So this story thing that we tell ourselves is super important, and that can really keep us stuck. We're going to start with our adaptive self. Our adaptive self is the version of you that you show to the world. This could be when you're out in public. This could be who you show up as when you're in your job. Generally, our adaptive self is the person that will show on the first date or the first time meeting somebody. It's the person we've adapted to show the world. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. We've had to adapt in certain situations to either get by, to progress, to get ahead, or to keep ourselves safe. So our adaptive self necessarily isn't bad. It's not bad, but we have adapted and constructed ourselves to show who we are to the world. Our authentic self. When I think of authenticity, I heard Alex Hormozy say this one time, and it really landed with me. His definition of authenticity, it's how you would behave if there were no consequences. How would you show up? How would you talk? How would you behave if there was no consequences for your actions or how you showed up? And I think this, we frame it that way, when we put it into that context, it kind of derives it down into who we actually are. And so our authentic self is who we actually are. Our first reflection exercise is this. We're going to think of a time when you held yourself back. And usually two different areas for most guys that they want to think about. It's either a career context or some sort of social context. Okay. And that social could be with friends, or it could be in a situation in a relationship, or maybe at the bar, you're trying to pick up a girl, or in yoga, whatever. So career or social context. Now I want you to think of what was the situation you were in when you wanted to do something but didn't. Now to put this in a little bit more perspective, I'll give you an example of one of each. Career could be, say you're in a meeting with, your team or the boss, and they're going over new ideas for something. And you have an idea, or you have a solution, or at least you think you have a solution to there's a problem that's going on. And you like, no, oh, this is a great idea. Like, I think this could work. And you're just about to raise your hand and speak up, and then like right before you do, you just stop and you don't. And you hold back. The other one would be social context. So say you are at the bar, or you're out in public, whatever, grocery store, and you see a girl, she's kind of cute, and you guys make eye contact, you smile, she smiles back, and you're like, okay. And then you're like, this is a signal, right? Like let's go up and talk to her. And then for some reason you just don't. You wanted to, but you didn't, right? As you're about to, approach, you stop and you don't say anything. In both situations, the version of you that wanted to say something to the girl after she smiled back at you, or to give your idea or solution to the problem, the wanting of that is your adapt or authentic self. That's who you really are. The person who held you back, that's your adaptive self. You've adapted yourself to the world to behave that way. So let's think about that. I'll give you like, 45 seconds to a minute and a half to think about a context. And then in that, also think about what's the cost of you not behaving authentically. There's your first reflection exercise. You can do this over and over again and also use it as a journal entry. Now let's talk about your shadow self. Shadow can get a little tricky, a little confusing, but your shadow is the part of you that quietly and secretly controls your behavior. So let's do another reflection exercise here. A lot of this stuff initially begins with reflection because we want to be able to start to be aware. Okay. And your shadow is it's not there to be corrected, criticized, or judged. I know as guys, I do it myself, that we're always trying to fix. We like to be problem solvers and fix. But with your shadow, the you don't want to try and fix it. Don't criticize it and don't judge it. And our shadow gets made by all the things that we suppress, judge, and we don't recognize the harsh things that we do criticize ourselves about. The key here with this is to just be aware of it. You want us to be like, hey, you know what? I know it's there, and that's it. That's all. That's all. So the parts of yourself I hide and I don't want anyone to know are, and yes, I see that I spelled hide as had. I will change that. But it's a great question to ask and think about is the parts of myself I hide and don't want anyone to know. Now, this is usually kind of like reading between the lines a little bit. It could be you're afraid to fail or you're afraid to be judged. And so what that means, let's take a sports example. Um, in practice, you never say you're a basketball player, you never take um you never take the shot in the corner because you're you can't make you corner shots make you a little uncomfortable. And so if you take that shot and you miss, then either your coaches might get mad or they might think that no, he's not very good, or if you miss and your teammates might also think, oh, maybe he's not that good. He can't make that shot, right? And your shadow, naturally, you're gonna kick away from going to that corner shot. And but what's driving that is you're afraid actually of people thinking that you're not very good or that you don't have what it takes. And those are the parts that we don't want people to know. We like to come off as confident and that we got everything under control and we have it handled, but not all the time. And that's okay. So parts of yourself you hide and you don't want anyone to know. It could also be something you're always, something is like, hey, maybe I actually am pretty needy, and but you come off as like you don't need anything from anybody, but deep down you're like, hey, maybe I actually am pretty needy. I do need some attention. I do need some validation, right? And you don't let anybody know that. So we secretly hide a lot of these parts of ourselves. So this is why I created men's group to bring together groups of guys in a community where men are going to hold each other accountable. They're going to do the work together alongside one another and help you overcome the bullshit stories that and the excuses that we know we already make. It's the same story over and over and over again, the same excuses over and over again that we tell ourselves. And that's what this group is designed to do. In the top left, it says iron sharpens iron. And it's true. Being a part of a community of like-minded men who are going to be able to see your blind spots, call you out on your bullshit, and help you and in a non performing or criticizing judgmental way. This is what the group is designed to do. It's not therapy. We're not going to sit here and talk about your childhood for 6 months. We're gonna create actionable plans for us to make actionable changes, real changes in our lives, and we're gonna do it together. It's like we're working on something collectively as the group for all of us guys to become the best version of ourselves, so we can go back and live world-class lives. So, Man in the Glass, it's called Men's Group, but the Men's Group's been inspired by the Man in the Glass poem, which is one of my favorite poems. So, like I said, it's for men who feel stuck, like something standing in the way of who they are and who they're supposed to be. This could be you in a transition. It could be somebody who is playing like they look like they have it all together, but they really don't. They feel like they're kind of just winging it. You are the guy with all the answers, and you're like, I don't have all the answers, but people are expecting you to have all the answers, or you kind of just feel like you're holding it together for everybody, but really you need some support. Now, what the group stands for is our four core values: our integrity, honor, loyalty, and courage, and that is the backbone. Those are the pillars of this group. Now, this work men's work is like compound interest. You have to be consistent and just do a little bit consistently over time, and that's where the results really come. Showing up for one meeting, doing one outside assignment isn't going to make the change. It's your participation in this. Now, in 90 days, you'll be able to come through this group, and you'll know what's been holding you back. You'll know the story that you're telling yourself, and you'll start breaking that glass, that invisible ceiling that is holding you down, alongside the work, doing work with the guys that have the same sort of goals as you. The group is month to month. I just have 90 days there as a guideline, because that's about the time where I've noticed that people actually start to make real change. So if you want to become part of the crew, become part of the club, scan the QR code or reach out to me when watching this after watching this webinar and join. It's $50. It's $50 a month, and we each month has a different theme that we go into to address certain aspects of your life that are super actionable and relatable for all men. Thank you guys for being here, and I hope to see you in the group. Continue to do this work together and help all of us grow to be the best versions of ourselves.